30 years ago, February 10th, 1996, was the first time a computer beat a grandmaster in chess. This is the second time recording this video. The first one, my audio completely cut out. So I was going to give you my honest first reaction to the whole game since I haven't seen it before. And now I have. This is the best game. You have to see it. I want to share it with you. Let's get into Garry Kasparov versus Deep Blue. This game, it was amazing going through it. First, Deep Blue is with the white pieces, e4, c5. Now I'm learning this line where you close out the center because normally when people are playing this, they really want to open things up and have a nice open game. So closing it down is kind of nice for a beginner. Now Deep Blue is going to do something similar. c3. Garry goes d5, which challenges you can push and close it completely down. Deep Blue opts to take, and that was interesting. After Deep Blue takes, Garry takes with the queen. Deep Blue goes d4 and creates a nice pawn chain. Grandmaster Kasparov goes knight f6. And already I had ideas about kicking the queen away. It's protected, so why not? Deep Blue wasn't having any of that. All of their pieces are on the back rank, which this is something completely different from what an 800 normally does. We are taught, put your knights out, put your bishops out somehow, and castle. In this game, they didn't do that for a while. So knight f3, bishop to g4, just pinning it. I thought that pawn, the e pawn, should push forward to allow the bishop out, so Garry could go ahead and castle. But bishop e2, unpinning and getting ready to castle. e6. That is getting all sorts of ideas to get the bishop out and castle. Now, what I realize is Garry, he's got two pieces left that need to be developed, whereas Deep Blue has quite a few pieces back there. Deep Blue goes h3, just kicking away a bishop. The bishop goes to h5. Now Deep Blue castles. There is knight to c6 played and bishop to e3. Somewhere here in the near future, I get one of the guesses completely right. The first time around, I was trying to guess what Deep Blue or what Garry was actually trying to do. And most of my guesses were completely wrong. Grandmaster Kasparov goes c takes d4. And I even could probably turn on the evaluation at this point. Okay, that's dead even. And the best move says to take. Okay. Now, Deep Blue goes ahead and takes it, but not with the knight. He takes it with the pawn. Deep Blue takes it with the pawn. Now, the best move is bishop to b4, which is played. That was a very obvious move because just a very obvious move. I found it after a little bit of thought, and I'll show you here my reaction. Now the best move is a3. Now bishop a5. He's actually going along with the computer here, which I did not know the first time I did this. Knight c3 is played next with threat on the queen. Queen moves, and I highlighted how the queen didn't have very many squares on the 5th rank to go. Couldn't go here or here or here or here. So the queen has to move back. And if the queen moves too far back, that is counterintuitive. So queen to d6 is the best move. Now knight to b5, which is not the best version, which is not the best move according to this version of Stockfish 18. Queen e7 was that not the best move either. So I thought he was going to go queen e7. e5, knight e5 was played. Now bishop takes e2 is played, and queen takes e2 is played. The next move that was played by Grandmaster Kasparov is castle, short castle, which doesn't give much of an advantage for black yet. The pawns are still very happy together. The white pawns here are a little bit spaced out, so there's not much here that could go wrong yet. Now it's time to develop some rooks. Rooks a to c1. This was weird. I did think the best move was to move this rook over, but rook a to c8 happened. Bishop to g5, exactly on cue. The computer of nowadays thinks that is the best line as well. Bishop b6. Now, the funny thing about Deep Blue is it had a whole bunch of processors built just specifically for this. The chips and grandmasters and people coming together to build the database of knowledge that it had for openings and endgames. We're getting close to the middle game here, and the computer is going to be completely on its own. Bishop takes f6. This move shocked me. And g takes f6 was completely mind-blowing, because I thought opening up the king is something you never want to do. Ever. But it happened. So now Grandmaster Kasparov has doubled pawns. Spoiler alert, it's not the only double pawns he's going to have this game. Knight to c4 was played by Deep Blue. F to d8. Very good so far. Now the computer of nowadays wants queen check. And I called it. I did not know this was the best move according to the computer, but I said this should happen, and it doesn't. Knight takes b6 was played, and here soon this move is not going to be something that's able to do. Now what the knight move did, knight takes b6, it forces this pawn to take. The a pawn is going to take b6, forcing another double pawns. And things start getting really tricky when you have these many weaknesses. So Grandmaster Kasparov is going to try and play against this pawn here. And Deep Blue is going to try and play against all of these weaknesses there. Even that one's really weak. Rook f to d1. And now the move f5 is played. See? It takes away the check. You could have given a check first and then grabbed that bishop, but Yep. I don't know. I'm only an 800. The computer is not going to do what I think it should, and that is just fine. Queen to e3 was played, and now queen to f6. d5, right on cue with the computer, and bishop or rook takes d5. Rook takes d5, and e takes d5. Now here is Kasparov with 1 pawn island, 2 pawn islands, 3 pawn islands, 4. And all of these are so cut off from each other. It's pretty bad. So giving a check now is good, but b3 was played. Now this is a really weird move that Gary understood as a person, but I do not understand as an 800. King h8. He moves the king to the corner. I thought the move was honestly to put the rook over to guard the pawn here because things are falling really quickly. Queen takes b6, and now rook g8. c5. Queen c5 is played, and that sets up a lot of really nasty intentions on the pawns and also giving ideas for this knight to come back in. d4, and the bar is almost a whole pawn to Deep Blue's advantage. Knight to d6, looking at a couple of pawns over here and this one over there. Like I said, all of those pawn islands, they get completely targeted. f4 just gets that pawn out of the way. It was attacked twice. And now knight takes b7. That was another one of those moves that I knew was coming. I guessed it correctly, and I had such a great reaction. Now we have knight e5. Excuse me. Queen d5, right on cue. All of this actually follows modern stockfish very well. Now, Grandmaster Kasparov does not play rook to g6. He plays f3, which, according to the computer, is a big disadvantage here. That jumped one whole pawn to the negative. The computer plays g3. Deep Blue, the big computer of the 90s, the one that spawned all of the interest in artificial intelligence that we have today, pretty much came about because when this Deep Blue beat Gary Kasparov, it was headlines. It was covered on everything. Now Gary plays d3, which jumps even higher. Now we have a 2 point plus 2.1, which means the white pieces are essentially 2 pawns higher in material than the black pieces, which is shocking. Rook to c7 and rook e8. That was a huge jump. Almost makes me think that is the blunder. It doesn't show any blunders, but when it jumps from 2 to 5, that's a ton of material. For one, your rook gets attacked. The knight jumps to d6, attacking this. Now Gary's got ideas of maybe back rank checkmate, so he goes rook e1 check. Looks great, but it's not going to work because the king slides to h2. Knight takes f2. Looks like it's going to be a checkmate, right? This square is covered by the pawn. This square is covered by the knight, so all you have to do is slide your rook over and it's game over, right? The bad thing is, this is forced from this point on. Every move Deep Blue does comes with a check. And we only have 3 moves to the end. And we only have 3 more moves until it's over. All right. Knight takes f7, check. King to g7. Now the bar rises even higher. Now we have plus 8.4 to Deep Blue. Knight to g5 is mate in 50, it says. But unfortunately, king to h6, rook to h7 check is just too much of an advantage for Deep Blue that Grandmaster Kasparov resigns. This was a very, very fun game to recap on the 30th anniversary of this game. So if you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments. Until next time, let's blunder forward together. Bye-bye.